Michelle.
You're welcome.
Go ahead and share my screen now. Okay, so move things around a little bit. There we go. So I am Kimberly Charvet. My business is called Lost Art of Love, and it's business and life coaching for introverted women. Really, the foundation of my business is for all women, but especially introverted women, to learn how to love themselves exactly how they are. And I'm going to be sharing with you a little excerpt from a masterclass. It's actually my favorite masterclass that I teach, called Discovering Your Purpose. So often we hear about what's your why, and why do you do what you do, and why do you not like what you're doing? And so this is kind of a guide to help you get there. So we're going to cover setting the foundation for how to actually start thinking about your purpose. What does it all mean? Being who you are and showing up as that person, and then how to connect with me. So this is me. This is actually my wedding anniversary last year, so not super old, but I'm going to be your guide through this conversation. I've been with corporate America for over 25 years, so I can relate to all of those corporate America people out there. And I just wanted to share a little bit about how I've come into the coaching world. I'm a wife and a mom to a blended family of 5. So our oldest is 32 and married with 2 children. So I'm also a grandma. And our youngest is 8. So we kind of span the gamut. And I love that so much. When I'm not working, some things about me: I'm an avid reader. I read all the time. A voracious leader. I love The Grinch. So this is like my time of the year that I am totally excited every time I walk into a store and I see a Grinchy. I call myself an amateur wine snob, and I organize almost to a fault. So I'm hoping that this conversation really helps you to recommit to your business or to your life, and give you a chance to think about things that are going on in your world. So when we think about setting the foundation to understand what your purpose is, it's really about starting with understanding who you are as an individual, not as a mom, not as a wife, not as an employee, but who you are. What's the essence of you? And I like to start a lot of my classes, especially this one. There's a lot of journaling and a lot of reflection in there. So some things for you to consider are: when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? Usually, if we can connect to what we wanted to do when we were a child, where we had no limitations on our mind, no limitations on our dreams, right? You could ask my son. He's going to be a YouTuber. He's going to design video games. He may go to the moon. So that, because he's 8, so he doesn't have any boundaries. And I love that. So think about, what did you want to be when you grew up? What are the things that you value the most? Do you value relationships? Do you value freedom? Do you value maybe it's health, right? We just heard a lot of really great stuff about health. I could probably guarantee that that's on Michelle's list, right? Is health. So think about the things that you value. And then think about the activities that you lose track of time doing. This is a really good indicator of where your passions lie. So for me, being an organizational nerd, I can go into my kitchen once a quarter and completely pull out everything from the cupboards and reorganize them, and not realize I've been doing it for 2 hours. And I just get so much pleasure out of when it's done. I've actually taken pictures and posted it on social so that people could see the before and after, because that just brings me joy. So a big part of what I do outside of like teaching this particular class is around planning and organizing your business and doing things like that. So for me, that's something that I lose track of doing. And then think about your top 5 best qualities. I think as women in particular, it's very easy for us to think about the things that we don't have, or the things that we envy in other people. But if you were to think about what are the top 5 things that I'm best at, um, and write those down, those are also going to be really key indicators to what it is that you want to be doing with your life. And if you can't come up with 5, then we probably need to have further conversations, but everyone should at least be able to come up with 5 things that they would consider their best qualities. A good way to verify or validate that those are your best qualities is to ask your best friend, or to ask your spouse, or to ask your partner, like, do you think these are 5 things that really describe me? So by going through and answering these questions, you're really going to be able to begin to uncover what's going to keep you going when you don't feel like it, right? We all have those days where we're like, oh, I just don't want to do it today, right? And so by really understanding what motivates you and what drives you is going to give you that nudge, that extra push to continue to move you forward. And again, this is just a very short little excerpt from the class that I teach, but this gives you an idea of kind of what you could expect when you're thinking about it. So then after you've answered all those questions, it's really time to go deep. And by going deep, I really mean very, very, very deep. Usually the first response to a question is never really the one that is going to drive you and continue to push you forward. The reason that I say that is because it's true. And this is the hard part of the exercise. I will be right out and tell you this is the hard part of the exercise. So you looked at your values, you looked at what you wanted to do when you were a kid, you looked at where you get lost in your time, what areas you feel are your best qualities, right? So we've looked at all of those things. And when you look at those things, look at where you are today. Why did you choose the career or the activity or the role or the passion that you are in right now? A lot of people will start by saying, oh, I chose this because I wanted to make more money. Okay. But money is not going to be something that drives you to continue moving forward. It can get you out of a pinch and it can get you out of a mess, but it's not going to be the number one thing that drives you. So why is money important to you? If we use money as that example, well, money allows me to keep a roof over my head and allows me to be able to have fun and do things that I really enjoy. It allows me to travel. It allows me to, be able to give generously to other people. So who is impacted by that? So choose one of those things. Say we're choosing that I want to be able to help other people. So who's impacted by that? Well, for me, it would probably be women who suffer from mental illness, whether it's anxiety or depression or bipolar disease or whatever it is. I want to be able to help women who suffer from mental illness who normally would not have the means to do it. So that's who's going to be impacted by it. Why is that important to me? Because it was never talked about when I was a kid. It was never something that we ever talked about in my family. It wasn't something that was ever even discussed. You didn't say the word therapist because that meant something really bad. And so that's why it's important to me. So what do I want to change? I want to change the stigma around mental health. I want to make it a normal part of our conversation. I want it to be like, oh, I went to the doctor and I got my annual physical. I got my eyes checked. I got my teeth cleaned. I went to see my therapist. I want to try to normalize it. And why is that important? Because our mental health is just as important as our physical health. It's just as important as our emotional health. It's just as important as our financial health, our spiritual health, all of the different areas when you think about the circle of life, right? And again, why is that important? What is the outcome that I want? I want women, regardless of their age, to have a place to go, to be able to know they have someone to talk to, that it's okay that you're not feeling okay. So I suffered I today suffer with depression and anxiety. I have pretty much my whole life. But I didn't seek help for it for the first time until I was 44 years old. So that's a long time to have to suffer through something like that. And that's why I do what I do. Um, as an introverted woman, I may not be as vocal as my extrovert friends. I may be a little bit more reserved. I may be someone who watches and looks and kind of waits in the wings a little bit. But I also know that taking care of myself is important and that I was created exactly the way I was supposed to be created. And I want to make sure that other women know that too. So that's what I do, what I do. That's what drives me to continue to do this work. And that is why I am here today. So the next step is just being you and showing up. So now that you've gotten a better idea of like who you are and what your purpose is and what drives you, I want you to say it out loud. I want you to say it to every single person you meet. When you talk to someone about this is what I do, this is why I do it. People should know. People should know why you do it. They don't want to just know, well, these are the products that I sell or this is the services that I offer. They want to know you. They want to know more about you. They want you to share your story so that you can build relationships with them, so that you can help them. Now, I do have the words set boundaries in there because it's really easy, especially for women when we first get started, to want to help everybody and to be available on everybody else's time frame and to just say yes all the time. No is a complete sentence. That is something that we need to understand, and we need to realize that no is a complete sentence. Not every person who comes to you for help is going to be a good fit for you, and that's okay. Sometimes we go see different doctors because the one we saw has no bedside manner, right? Same thing, and that's okay. So make sure that even though you are sharing your story and you are building relationships, that you're setting boundaries for yourself. Maybe the stories you share, you don't want to share over social media because you don't want anybody to have access to them. That's okay. That's your boundary. Okay. So that's super important. So share your story, build your relationships, set your boundaries, be good to yourself. And this is me. So if you want to get in touch with me, that's my email, my website, my phone, and I'm everywhere on social at Lost Art of Love. You can find me, and I'll put my information in the chat too, so that you guys can find me. But I'm pretty much everywhere. So that's what I had to share with you. If anyone has questions, I'm happy to take them.
I just want to share. I really loved how you brought up like what you wanted to do when you were a kid or when you lose track of time, because I think as we get older and life changes and hard things are there, we lose that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I thought it was valuable that you shared to also share your purpose out loud, your reasoning, because I think just talking about what we do, sometimes it doesn't feel whole. It doesn't feel
Mm-hmm.
like it has that richness without
Mm-hmm.
showing people who you are. And that way, I think you can really put your own energy out there, and that's really what people connect with too.
Thanks. All right. Up next,